Version 4.1 of EMU introduced a new web scripting engine that is contained completely inside of EMU. This allows users to build scripts in Saurian Financials, Saurian Clinicals, or any other website without any additional add-on programs, such as iMacros. There are a few different methods to build commands in the new web scripting engine, but this video is going to focus on the web script builder. This tool allows you to identify any web elements such as labels, tables, buttons, text boxes, etc. on any page by using the HTML code. So why use the web script builder? Well, first it gives you the ability to click to identify elements on your web page using your mouse. You can also flash an element to confirm that EMU did find the correct element on the page. You can also extract a text value from an element to use elsewhere in your script. The web script builder also assists you in building your web command. And then lastly, you can use the web script builder to build anchored elements, which we'll discuss in detail a little bit later. To activate the web script builder, you must have opened a web page using EMU's Open Web Page command. When you run that command, EMU will automatically open the web script builder. There's also an option from the Tools menu to open the web script builder should you close it and need to reopen it. For this video, let's say we're creating a process to post adjustments in Saurian. The first step is to choose Provider Accounting Homepage from the Saurian homepage. In order to do this, we first have to identify the element on the page we want to interact with. In this case, we want to work with this table cell. When the web script builder is opened, you will notice the Capture My Clicks button. When you click this button, it'll turn red. This indicates that you're ready to identify elements on your web page. Move the mouse around over the page and notice the outlines around the different element types. Some are outlined in red and some are outlined in green. These colors are there to assist you in determining if the attribute used to identify the element is reliable. To identify an element, use your right mouse button to click on it. That populates the boxes in the web script builder. You can see the element type that we selected, table cell. You can see the attribute that is a ID, and then it has a value of 34, and then a position or index value of 1. All these pieces of information are put together to find that element on the page. Now, an element can have many different attributes and values, which sometimes makes it a little bit harder to figure out which ones to use. You want to choose an attribute along with a value that is unique to that element. Sometimes elements have the same attributes and values. For example, on some pages you might see two buttons that they both say submit. Those things aren't very unique. The elements that have green outlines have either an ID attribute or a name attribute. These are generally the most unique and reliable. If an element has a red outline around it, then it doesn't have an ID or a name attribute. But there are going to be some cases where you will have to use an attribute other than an ID or a name. So in this particular case, we have an ID attribute with a value of 34. That doesn't really tell us that we're working with the Provider Accounting homepage. So in order to choose something a little bit more descriptive, we can look in the attribute drop-down box and pick a different attribute. So let's just say I pick title, for example. Title has a value now of Provider Accounting homepage. That makes a lot more sense. That's more descriptive. It tells us which element they were working with on the page, whereas 34 didn't really tell us anything. Once an element has been identified, there are 4 buttons that appear: Flash element, Show extracted value, Build command, Anchor element. When you click the Flash element button, EMU will attempt to flash the element you identified by turning it yellow. This will confirm that the attribute and value selected can be used to successfully identify the element. You also have the ability to extract values from the website. The Show Extracted Value button will extract the text value of the element if there is one present. You can use the getWebValue command to pull this value into a variable and use it somewhere later in your script. Clicking the Build command button will bring up a new window called Command Builder. This feature allows you to choose which command you want to build and then specify certain parameters. There are checkboxes at the top which will filter the choices that appear in the drop-down list. Emu will attempt to make smart choices based upon the element type that you have selected. So for instance, since we selected a table cell in this case, Emu has defaulted to the click web element command. If you select a table, for example, Emu would default to the get web table command. Or if you selected a drop-down list, Emu would go to the set web drop-down command automatically. So there are some smart choices that are trying to be made based on the type of element that you select. If the one selected is not the one that you want, then you can select the one you do want from the drop-down list. Just be aware that there could be other parameters that do come up based on the command that you select. For click web element, there's no other parameters to specify. We just want to click on an element. Once you have selected the command, you can either test it, you can add it to the scratch pad, you can copy it to the clipboard, or you can cancel back to the previous screen. Test will actually run the command you built and allow you to validate the behavior. So if we click test, it takes us to the provider accounting homepage. Add to scratch pad will copy and paste the command into a new tab at the bottom of the Emu editor. You can continue to build commands and add them into the scratch pad, then copy and paste them all together at one time into your script. Copy to clipboard will copy the command so that you can go straight to the editor and paste it anywhere you desire. Clicking cancel is going to take you back to the previous screen, where you can click on Capture My Clicks to start identifying your next element. Finally, the last button on the web script builder is an anchor. There are times when you can't identify an element, but you can identify something else on the page near the element you want to work with. You can use that element as an anchor or a means to get to the element you need. For this example, this text box right here does not have a reliable attribute. But there is a label just in front of this text box that says include encounters starting between. I can select that label as an anchor. So I select it with the web script builder, click the anchor element button, and then I can choose one of 3 different reference types to use here: contains by, position, or parent. In this case, for this video, I'm only going to do the position reference. Now you need to go back to the page or to the dialog that we were working with and click the text box that we want to identify. Okay, if we're going solely on position, we don't really care about the attribute values because it didn't have good attribute values in the first place, so we can just delete those out. Then we can come over here, and anytime we're doing an anchor and we select another element after the fact, we want to make sure we click this refresh button. Okay, and now I can flash this element. Now we can click on build command and choose our command from the list, copy it to the clipboard, and paste it into the script. Emu will look for the first label and then look for the first text box after that label. This video covered using the web script builder to identify elements on a web page and then build web commands to use in your Emu scripts. For more information about Emu, please visit www.databoundhealthcare.com.